While Congress and the President trade and even do some nasty finger-pointing, our national debt is absolutely soaring. It is quickly approaching $17 trillion. Almost $1.2 trillion of that $17 trillion was added in just 2012. That means the federal government borrows at an astounding rate of $37,829 a second, every second. Senator John Thune joins us. That's astounding, isn't it?
It is astounding.
On the House side, Speaker Boehner said that the Senate should, in his words, get off its... This is cable, so I can say that.
Right.
I hope your father's not watching.
Well, he probably is. But he's absolutely right. The Senate is where there needs to be action taken. The House has not once but twice moved legislation that would replace the sequester with more responsible spending cuts and get away from the disproportionate impact that this has on our military budget. But so far, nothing's happened in the Senate. Now, I think this week we actually may have a debate sometime, perhaps on Thursday.
It's a little late.
A little late in the game, for sure. And again, what the Senate Democrats want to do is they want to replace the sequester with tax increases. They got a big tax increase on the first of the year, and what we need to be focused on right now is spending reductions. And there are two things Republicans are not going to do. One is we're not going to turn this off, for sure, with tax increases. And we believe there was a commitment made to the American people, and that number needs to stay in place.
Well, without even getting to the substantive issue of whether tax hikes is a good idea or bad idea or spending cuts, do you find it a little pathetic that the Senate, and I realize that you're in the minority party, is doing this on the eve of the deadline? I mean, you've known about this for a year and a half, and what kind of debate can you have 3 days going into something so profoundly important?
Well, it gives the President time to run around the country and campaign and try and build pressure. Our experience has been with the Democrat majority in the Senate is they wait until that 11th hour, till the critical mass time, in hopes that they can get their way. And I think in this case the President wants his way, and what the President wants out of all this is another big fat tax increase on the American people. They're not willing to work with us to come up with an alternative that actually replaces these spending cuts with what we think are a more responsible approach. But the one thing that we're not going to go away from, Republicans in the House and the Senate, is the commitment that we made in the Budget Control Act to actually reduce spending. This has got to be about reducing spending. Now, the President got his tax increase on January 1st. That issue is settled. That's behind us.
Why does he not think it's settled?
Well, I think that for them, it's all about growing government by raising taxes. And if you think about it, $85 billion, which is what this amounts to, is the equivalent of what we borrow in 1 month. Every 28 days, we borrow another $85 billion.
It's also only about 2.4% of what the budget's going to be.
2.4% of total federal spending. And you know, every American family, when they look at this, thinks, why can't the federal government do what we do when we're faced with this kind of a crisis? We tighten our belts a little bit. We come up with ways to find that 2.4% in savings, and do it in a way that doesn't impact basic services. I mean, this hyper propaganda campaign that the President and some of his administration are on right now, where they're going to take the highest, most visible, high-profile example of what's going to happen if this goes into effect. I mean, it's just propaganda, and they know that. It's scare tactics, and that's why they wait till the 11th hour to try and do something.
Why do you think, you said the President wants to grow government, wants big government. Why do you think that he wants that?
Well, I think it's part of his, it's just, you know, I think philosophically this is a President who believes profoundly in the power of government. And there are a lot of people in this country, myself included, and hopefully still a lot in the Congress, who believe in the power of freedom. And that is a very big difference in how we approach these issues. And for them, if you've got a deficit, it clearly means that the government doesn't tax enough, that we don't have enough taxes and enough revenue.
Or it means that your government's you spend too much.
Well, we believe that the government spends too much, and that's again two very different views of what the problem is and what's contributed to it. But if you look at revenues, the Congressional Budget Office in their update 2 weeks ago said revenues are coming back. In fact, they're going to exceed by almost a full percentage point the 40-year historical average for the next decade. And yet spending continues to spiral out of control.
Is there any appetite at all in the Senate for the Senate Republicans to vote for even a nickel tax increase?
No,
or is that that's absolutely out of the question?
Well, the President got $620 billion tax increase, largest tax increase in American history, on January 1st. The President talks about a balanced approach, but you know, the fiscal cliff deal was all about taxes. There was no spending reductions there.
And did you, was it your thinking at the time that he'd agreed that this was the sum total of tax increases, and now we're going to do the to cut in spending?
Well, and if you go back to even this weekend, it was reported, Bob Woodward in his book, of course, and that was, he wrote an op-ed this weekend where he basically said the president's moving the goalposts. Tax increases weren't a part of the Budget Control Act. There were the spending reductions, and then if the super committee didn't reach a solution, it was these across-the-board spending cuts. It was all spending. And what he's essentially doing is saying, now I want taxes out of this. And he did get taxes. He got $620 billion in new taxes on January 1st. So right now, Greta, for Republicans in Congress, the tax issue is behind us. That has been settled. This is now about what are we going to do to rein in out-of-control government spending. And $85 billion, again, we're talking about the equivalent of the amount that the federal government borrows every single month.
Senator Thune, nice to see you, sir.
Thanks, Greta. Nice to be with you.
And while speaking